Hello. Welcome to Delta Tech's Exploring Sage 300 video series. In this video, we will be exploring the global security feature in Sage 300. Sage 300 offers comprehensive user-definable security. This includes authentication at the application level, where a user signs into Sage 300, as well as the authorization levels at individual modules. The settings in global security affect the way a user signs into the Sage 300 application. You would set up security policies by turning on or off one or more options available in global security. To get started, launch Sage 300's database setup. Then click on Security. Note that the options you select here will affect all the databases or companies you have set up. Clicking on the Security button in Database Setup will launch the Advanced Security Settings screen. Here, you have several security options that affect how users are authenticated when accessing Sage 300. The first option is whether you require complex passwords for your users. This option requires passwords to be alphanumeric. The next option would require users to change their passwords after a specified period of days. If you select the Require Passwords to Change option, also specify the number of days in which the user will need to make the change. You can also require a minimum password length. When you select this option, you can require users to have passwords of between 4 to 64 characters. To prevent unauthorized users from trying to hack into the application, you can select to lock a user account after a certain number of attempts. Specify the number of attempts before a user is locked out. We usually set this to either 3 or 5 attempts if required. If you select the Lockout User option, you will also have the option to unlock the user account after a certain period of time has elapsed. When you select the Enable Locked Out User option, specify the number of minutes before the user can try again. Selecting this option would automatically enable the user account after the specified period of time. If this option is not selected, the user would need to request the administrator to unlock the account. The time server setting is for synchronizing time between the Sage 300 workstations and a particular server. If you want to restrict user access to Sage 300 by time, select this option and specify a time server. Keep in mind that these settings do not turn on security for your Sage 300 companies. These settings only define and enforce security policies for each of the companies you have. It's not a requirement to do these settings. You can still require users to provide a password when logging on to Sage 300 without selecting any of the options in global security. To turn on security for your company database, in Database Setup, select the System Database and click on the Edit button. In the System Database Profile window, you have the option to enable application security. Select this option to turn on security for all the company databases that share this system database. If this option is not selected, any settings you do in global security will have no effect. Also, if you don't select this option, users will be able to access Sage 300 without providing a password. That's it for Sage 300 Global Security. The next steps in setting up security in Sage 300 would be to look at creating user groups, user accounts, as well as user authorization at module level. Thank you.